Hello everyone, welcome to free crash course for competitive exams held by Virat Hindustan Sangam in association with Manifest IAS, Bengaluru. This program is inspired by Dr. Swamy and it was started in January, right? Okay, so this program is convened by Sri Ravi Shankar sir, State Education Convener for VHS Karnataka branch and also President of Good Neighbors India NGO. Right? Okay. So I am the chief mentor of your program. I have been mentoring civil service aspirants for past 5 years. That is the experience I carry with me for me to be eligible for teaching. Right? Okay. So you can watch this program online on the YouTube channel of Virat Hindustan Sangam and also YouTube channel of Udaya News Karnataka. So you can join our Telegram channel. VHS Education Forum is the Telegram channel. You can join it for free mentoring, guidance, mentoring, doubts clearing, anything related to any competitive exams. You can ask the questions in this group. Okay. So we are done with polity and history and now we are negotiating the economy, Indian economy. So what to expect out of the classes? I have been telling it again and again. Okay. So we are on the day 3 of Indian economy and the source for you is Indian economy by Srirangam. Okay. So we are talking about planned economic development and Niti Ayog. This is the chapter in Srirangam. So what does it talk about? Plan economic development. So we have discussed the achievements and failures and we have covered yesterday till here, balance of payment crisis. Okay, success in the balance of payment. Okay, so India and manufacturing sector. So when it comes to manufacturing sector, it is a secondary sector. It comes under the secondary sector and it was laid emphasis during the second 5-year plan. Second 5-year plan laid emphasis on manufacturing sector. So, bit of current affairs to add on. For manufacturing, we have what? Make in India program. Make in India program is there. Atmanirbhar Bharat is there. Along with that, there is production linked incentive scheme is there. Credit linked subsidy scheme is there. So, there are many schemes even for MSME. So, MSME also comes under manufacturing sector. What is MSME? Micro, small and medium enterprises. What is the criterion? We will discuss in the further course. So it is basically turnover based. Turnover based. If your turnover is less than 10 lakh, it is called as, if it is less than 50 lakh, it is called as micro. Less than 5 crore, it is small and like that. So we will discuss it. So India's manufacturing sector, it was initially based on Nehru-Mahalanobis model. Nehru-Mahalanobis model I have discussed already. What is Nehru and Mahalanobis model? And also manufacturing sector, it was dependent on license Raj. Whatever you want to start, you need a license. You want to get married, you need a license. Okay. So this is license Raj. And also there were Industrial Development and Regulation Act. This act is important. Industrial Development and Regulation Act was given by, was the one of the policies under India's manufacturing sector. So what is Industrial Development and Regulation Act? It was given in 1951. 1951 this act comes. Okay. And also there is Monopolistic and Restrictive Trade Practices Act. MRTP Act. So what is MRTP Act andre? Traders were actually restricted. So for example, what is monopolistic? Suppose there is a cycle company, bicycle company. So that was, if it is manufactured by only one company in India, that is monopoly. Only one company is manufacturing, no other company is being allowed. Monopolistic and trade restrictive practices. ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇವಲ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಆ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೊನೋಪೊಲಿ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ದಿಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್, MRTP ಆಕ್ಟ್. This was passed during Indira Gandhi, 1969. And also initially there was no FDI, foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment was not there. Along with that, there was no industrial education. Manufacturing ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ information ಇರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. No education was there. So when there is no education, no supply to industry, manufacturing sector, and there was reservation. Reservation andre not your SC ST OBC reservation. Certain products were reserved only for certain companies. Only certain companies could manufacture certain products. That is reservation. And stringent labor laws. Inge andre 100-200 ಮೇಲೆ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, in order to fire the employee, in order to remove the employee, you have to take the permission of the government. So that was a bad law. Now we have labor code. 4 codes ಇದೆ. Labor code, current affairs, I'll do it in current affairs. 4 labor code, code on wages, code on social security, code on working conditions, and one more code, code on industrial disputes. 4 codes are there. All the labor codes, labor laws, Factories Act, Mining Act, Maternity Benefit Act, whatever the Industrial Disputes Act, Coal Mining Act, everything is codified into these labor laws now. 4 codes are there. Code. Okay, labor codes anta. Okay. So next, service sector led growth in India. So service sector led growth in India. So is there any similar model? So there is a model in Southeast Asian tiger economies. I told you yesterday what is tiger economy. Did I tell? Tiger economies means Southeast Asian economies. Andre Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Papua New Guinea, Brunei Darussalam, Myanmar. Mauritius doesn't come. Mauritius is in Indian Ocean. I'm talking about Southeast Asia. So whatever the economies that were there, Singapore, all these were called as tiger economies. Tiger economies we see what? This service sector growth. Service sector andre I have told you what is service sector. It is the tertiary sector. So why service sector? India service sector contribution to economy is 55%. Highest contribution: trade, tourism, banking, education, health, transport, trade, everything, export, import, all these things, logistics, e-cart anta baruttala Flipkart jote, everything comes under service sector. Your BPO, KPO, IT industry, everything. So why service sector growth andre manufacturing sector ge there was no land acquisition in India was very difficult. Land acquisition was very difficult. That is why there was service sector growth. And also India the one peculiar model is there. What is the peculiar model andre every country first will be primary sector, fishing, forestry, agriculture. From primary sector they will go to secondary. From secondary they are going to go to tertiary, right? So that is tertiary sector, that is service sector. But India India did not go to secondary. India directly went to tertiary. This is the peculiar model in India. Even China went to secondary sector and then to tertiary. India industrial secondary sector hogle illa. Okay. So India directly went to tertiary sector because there was no policies which were favoring the manufacturing sector. And also 1991 reforms, LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization, that also favored the service sector. Banking restrictions were reduced, foreign investment were reduced, foreign investment increased. So that also impacted the service sector led growth in India. Okay. So also the globalization aitala, that also impacted. Okay. Along with that, there is a 4 jobs criteria. Andre, what is 4 jobs criteria? Andre, your IT, information technology, techies. Bangalore is famous for techies. So if IT and ITES anta barutte, information technology and information technology enabled services, IT and ITES, for every job created in information technology field, there are 4 other jobs created elsewhere. IT alli one job create adre, it will impact 4 other jobs. 4 job bere ello create agutte because of IT. So these 4 jobs are called as ancillary industry. Ancillary means, so it is secondary, like of secondary, ancillary industry, right? Okay, so this is the 4 jobs criteria. So what is next is sectors. What are the sectors in service sector? What are the sectors? Media, entertainment, health sector, education sector, all these are comes under service sector. Travel, tourism, hotels. Service sector, and you should know what is service sector. Clear? Okay. So next, these are the sectors. Ijaz Ghani, this person says that, so he is a service sector evangelist. Service sector ge this person is important. Ijaz Ghani is important. Ijaz Ghani, he is a World Bank economist. What does he say? He says, India dali there is a digital revolution, right? There is a digital revolution said by Ijaz Ghani. So in your prelims, Ijaz Ghani esru barutte. So blindly put service sector because he talks about service sector and also digital revolution. Digital revolution ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. Next comes Niti Aayog, your favorite. What is the full form of Niti Aayog? National Institute for Transforming India. Transforming India. So it replaced Planning Commission. When was it set up? 2015. It is a think tank. Think tank andreno? Simple. Think means ಯೋಚನೆ, ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಹಲವಾರು ಯೋಚನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋ ಒಂದು ಟ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. ಒಂದು ಭಂಡಾರ, ಯೋಚನೆಗಳ ಒಂದು ಭಂಡಾರ. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ? ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್, ಹೆಲ್ತ್, ರಿಸರ್ಚ್, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್, ಇಂಪೋರ್ಟ್, ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್, ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್, ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ರೆಂಟ್, including bureaucracy, competitive exams, everything they speak. That is the think tank. Structure, what is the structure of Niti Aayog? So Niti Aayog alli, it is headed by a chairman. It is Prime Minister is the chairman of Niti Aayog. Adralli there is a second step, governing council. Governing council irutte, all the chief ministers of all the states and also lieutenant governors of union territory are the members of the governing council, right? Apart from that, we have a permanent structure. Adralli there is a vice chairperson. Full time organization ide, adralli there is a vice chairperson. Then there is a CEO. So who is the CEO of Niti Aayog? FDA SDA exam, Amitabh Kant. Amitabh Kant is the CEO, right? So he is appointed by the Prime Minister. So along with that, there are full-time and part-time members. Full-time members, part-time members irtare. Ex officio members will be there. What is ex officio? Ex officio means out of their office. So you become a district magistrate or DC, district collector. You will be automatically given membership in so many clubs, so many committees. Just because you are DC, you will become member of all these things. Because of your office, ex officio, right? Who are the ex officio members? Some cabinet ministers. Then part-time members I told, and also special invitees. Certain council of ministers are special invitees, and also regional councils will be there. Regional councils irtave. Regional andre South Indian, North Indian, East Indian, itara councils will be there, right? So next, here it is a think tank. Illi there are two more things. Two hubs are there. Apart from this organization, there are two hubs. Two hubs andre Team India Hub. Team India Hub anta ondide. And also Knowledge Hub. Knowledge and Innovation Hub anta ide. This is the structure of Niti Aayog. E structure, if you know, FDA, SDA, pakka question, something from this they will ask. Even in your PSI. Okay. Next, Niti Aayog aims and objectives. Guri. Yenu Guri? It gives advice. It gives advice to the government on various issues. There is a terrorist attack, they will give advice. There is an economic crisis, they will give advice. Stock market bidogide nenne, they will give advice. Everything they will give advice. It is advisory. Idu mandate madakagala, ನೀವು ಇದೇ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ they will not going to say. They will just give advice. Next, coordination. What is coordination? Andre earlier planning commission alli there was no respect for states. Center used to rule, but now there is coordination between center and states, and also center alli ministries irtavalla, ministry gale ಹೊಡೆದಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. They used to fight. So there is coordination between ministries because of Niti Aayog, and also they give various plans. What are the plans? For example, village level and up to national level, they will form a plan. That is bottom up approach. Niti Aayog bandre there are three things actually. First thing is the vision statement. 15-year vision statement anta ide. 7-year strategy statement is there. 3-year action plan is there. 3-year action plan, 7-year strategy statement, and 15-year vision document. Idu see earlier after 12th plan 2017 end admele there is no plan document. This is the plan document. 3-year, 7-year, 15-year. It will go up to 2031, right? Next, knowledge. It gathers various knowledge from various areas. Industry agirbodu, innovation agirbodu, research agirbodu. All these areas it has knowledge. Next, it does monitoring and evaluation. Just program madidre salalla, it has to be monitored, or else there might be corruption, there might be no implementation. So monitoring and evaluation is also done by Niti Aayog, and also it gives advice in various sectors. So primary, secondary and tertiary sector, it gives advice. Okay, so here certain functions are given here. So Niti Aayog is a enabler. It enables the industry, and also it focus various sector, agriculture sector ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Model Tenancy Act ಅಂತ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog gives Model Tenancy Act and Model Rent Agreement ಅಂತ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ agreements they'll give. And also it speaks on human capital, education and health. And also it speaks on urbanization. It speaks on technology. It speaks on poverty, inequality. So many things it speaks. What is the function of the Niti Aayog? First function, policy making. Policy. Government policy. Policy na design ಮಾಡೋದು Niti Aayog ಕೆಲಸ. Next, it fosters cooperative federalism. What is cooperative federalism? So first, what is federalism? Federalism is the sharing of power between center and state. Center ಮತ್ತೆ state ಮಧ್ಯೆ power share ಆದ್ರೆ that is called federalism. Cooperative federalism ಅಂದ್ರೆ center ಮತ್ತೆ state ಅಲ್ಲಿ there is no coordination. ಅವರವರು ಹೊಡೆದಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Then states and states also fight. Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, they fight. So in various areas, all the states and even the center has to cooperate. That is cooperative federalism, right? And also it does monitoring and evaluation. I have spoken about it. Monitor ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ಸ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅಟಲ್ ಪೆನ್ಷನ್ ಯೋಜನೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇದಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅಟಲ್ ಇನೋವೇಷನ್ ಮಿಷನ್. Atal Innovation Mission, given it is formulated by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog, Atal Innovation Mission, and it also has knowledge and innovation bage. It does the work. So what is the difference between Planning Commission? What is the difference of Niti Aayog with Planning Commission? So Planning Commission ali there was no representation for states. There was a top-down approach, and Planning Commission used to give 5-year plans. There is no 5-year plans here, and Niti Aayog alli there is regional councils are there. Planning Commission alli regional councils irlilla. So Planning Commission alli full-time members were more. Here all types of members are there. So these are, and also Planning Commission used to allocate money. States ge Planning Commission used to give money. Planning Commission used to say what money you have to give, right? Achievements of the Niti Aayog. One is 15-year vision map, 7-year strategy statement, 3-year action agenda. This is the first achievement. Along with that, there are multiple schemes where it has had its effect. Amrut scheme, city development bage. Next, Digital India scheme, Atal Innovation Mission, right? Various things, agricultural marketing, and also rationalization of centrally sponsored scheme. What is a centrally sponsored scheme? So if the government forms Ayushman Bharat, government ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ Manrega, if the government does this scheme, if government gives 60% or any percent, 40% is given by state, it is centrally sponsored. Very important. Central sponsors the scheme, even state has to give the money. Center sector scheme andre entire 100% is given by the center. Entire 100% is given by the center sector scheme. right? So this is with, so e center sponsored schemes ಬಗ್ಗೆ there was a ಒಂದು sub group form ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನೀತಿ ಆಯೋಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, that is there. And also there was subgroup of chief ministers on skill development bele this Niti Aayog has spoken a lot. So this is the C, central sector scheme, and also it focuses on bottom up approach, bottom up. So planning commission top down. So planning commission ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೆಹಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಭಾರತದ ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ನೀತಿ ಆಯೋಗಲ್ಲಿ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಿಂದ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಾಟಮ್ ಅಪ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್, ರೈಟ್? Criticism, what are the criticism? Likewise, there are many criticisms. So some say it is just the another old wine in a new bottle. It is just rephrasing of planning commission. Planning commission yadu sumne name change madidira. And there are various other criticisms. Andre it is intervention in the government. It is a extra constitutional body. Is it a constitutional body? No. Is it a legislative body? No. It is given by executive. It is a executive body. Government order in the form ಆಗಿರೋದು. ಯಾವುದೇ law pass ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. So growth models. Last topic in this chapter. There are two models. Bhagavati model and Sen model. Amartya Sen model. So Bhagavati model speaks on trickle down. I already told what is trickle down yesterday. First we will do the growth, then growth will trickle down to the poor. First some section will become rich, then it will go to the poor. That is supported by Bhagavati, Jagdish Bhagavati anta one economist. He supports the trickle down model, whereas Amartya Sen speaks about development model. Development model andre capacity building. Low ಕೆಳಗಿಂದ we have to grow. We have to focus on individual capacity building, right? That is what is spoken about by Amartya Sen. He speaks about increasing education, health, all those things. So this is the two growth models, Bhagavati model, Sen model. Next we will talk about industrial policy in India. So what does this industrial policy speak about? Labor laws, capital, pension, production, taxation, subsidies, registration, licensing. So industrial policy speaks about everything regarding industry, regarding the products which are manufactured, taxation, rent, capital, recycling of the waste. Everything is spoken about for export, import, foreign investment, everything. Okay, so we have industrial policy resolution starting with 1948, then 1956. 1948 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ಯಾಮಾ ಪ್ರಸಾದ್ ಮುಖರ್ಜಿ ಅವರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Who is Shyama Prasad Mukherjee? Who founded the Jansangh? So Jansangh andre eno? Today's BJP. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee founds the Jansangh. Adu next Bharatiya Jansangh agutte. Next Bharatiya Janata Party agi convert ಆಗ್ತದೆ. So he gives this 1948 model, 1948 IPR. Next we have 1956 industrial policy resolution. It speaks about Nehru Malnobis model, machines that make the machines, and also basic goods ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಇದು. This next 1973 under Indira Gandhi, illi you get this MRTP Act, monopolies and restrictive trade policies. This is whenever Indira Gandhi comes, she is actually against private industry. She was a socialist. So illi small and medium industry mele they focus under this policy, small and medium industry. Next we have 1977. It speaks about What does it speak about? It speaks about small scale industry. Small scale industry, just like 1973 policy. So 1977 alli Morarji Desai government gives this policy. Next, industrial policy statement. Industrial policy statement 1980. 1980 alli industrial policy statement barutte. What does it speaks about? It gives the objectives of the industry, right? What should be the objective? So earlier the objectives were rigid. 1980 in the actually industrially changes start agutte. So earlier reservation in the industry, now reservation is relaxed. Import restrictions are relaxed. Labor laws are relaxed. Amele regional imbalances, and it focuses on maximizing production. Industrially production jasti madbeku. It focuses on higher employment. This policy focuses on higher employment. So all these things, basically it relaxes the restrictions which were earlier there. Next, it speaks about economic federalism. Economic federalism means what? So federalism, I told you, political sharing of power, state list, union list. This is federalism. Economically federalism andre certain taxes are collected by the center and certain other taxes are collected by the state. So also center collects the tax, it gives the money to states, grants in aid, Article 275. Clear? So that it speaks about, and also it speaks about small plants, nucleus plants anta barutte. Nucleus plants andre it speaks about nucleus plants andre bidi bhagagalna assemble madodu. Suppose this mobile phone is there. Mobile phone has small things. All these things assembling. Those are nucleus plants, right? Nucleus plants. Okay. Next, it focuses on green dimension start agutte. Green dimension to industry. Because of industry, there will be lot of pollution. Yaudu? Bhopal gas tragedy. Methyl isocyanate leak agi sikkapate jana satogtare. What is that guy who ran away? Some Alexander or something. Don't remember his name. Okay, fine. So green dimension start agutte. Hazardous waste management act anta barutte. Hazardous waste management rules. Industrial chemicals safe transport rules. Public liability insurance act anta barutte. So green dimension to industry. So industry should be green. Water has to be recycled. Less pollution should be there. All these things are spoken about. Next, new industrial policy 1991. Very important. So this falls under 7th plan. 8th plan yaವಾಗ start ಆಗುತ್ತೆ 1992. 7th plan ಅಲ್ಲಿ there is a new industrial policy 1991. So this speaks about what? Already I have discussed. It speaks about self-reliance. It speaks about self-reliance rather than self-sufficiency. Self-reliance. Atmanirbhar Bharat also speaks about self-reliance, right? Okay. So here what happens? A lot of industry ge foreign sector ge we open up the economy. Foreign sector ge we open up the economy. Earlier it was closed. We open up the economy, and also it focuses on training, upskilling. Industry ge if the employees have to get enrolled, skilling and training, not killing, skilling. skilling and training of the employees, that is focused upon. All these things are focused upon the new industrial policy. So idರಲ್ಲಿ major areas, industrial licensing. Licensing was reduced. I told you already. Next, increase the foreign investment. ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಬಟ್ಟೆ foreign investment ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಇದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ. Next, foreign technology agreements. Foreign technological agreements. Andre, earlier, India used to import industrial goods. Machines used to be imported. ಬರೀ ಮಿಷಿನ್ಸ್ ನ ಬೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ದ ಮಿಷಿನ್ಸ್, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಇಫ್ ವಿ ನೋ ದ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ, ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಇಟ್ ಅವರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್, ರೈಟ್? That is spoken in the industrial policy, new industrial policy, right? And also it has aims towards public sector policy. Public sector alli we are going to reduce the investment in the public sector, andre PSUs, disinvestment. What do you mean by disinvestment? Any idea? Okay, so disinvestment means what? See, we will take up Bharat Petroleum. Earlier it is a public sector undertaking, 100% ownership with the and management, ownership and management, both are this with the government. So all these IAS and IPS officers, IAS officers used to manage bureaucracy, government servants. Later like this MTNL, so many companies, Air India, all public sector reduced. So idralli government investment is under 100%. So if the government reduces the investment up to 50%, andre up to 49%, if it reduces, it is disinvestment. Disinvestment. Government has invested it, disinvest 49% na private sector ge sale ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. 49% ವರೆಗೂ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಓನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ. 49% ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್? 51%, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ up to 51% ownership will be under government, management they can give to private sector, because private sector management is good, public sector management is bad, right? So private sector management is good. So up to 51% idru shares, it is government ownership. If the share reduces below 51%, or if it reduces to 49% or below, then it is called strategic disinvestment. Strategic disinvestment andre ownership is also given to private, right? Air India dal ade agiddu, ownership is also given to the private sector. So here industrial, all these things, licensing abolish agutte. Amele MRTP act irutte, MRTP act na tagdubittu FEMA anta barutte, ಫಾರಿನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ MRTP ಆಕ್ಟ್ ನ ತೆಗೆದು ಬಿಸಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ MRTP ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಐ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು, ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಟ್ರೇಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಏಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ? ಏಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ new industrial policy, reducing regulatory hurdles. Regulatory hurdles andre any industry has to start, government used to be a hurdle andre eno adachane, that has to be reduced, right? First, making India a manufacturing hub. Manufacturing India dal ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು, that is the aim. And also promote assembly in India. So do you know where iPhone gets assembled? China. So it is a US company, but it gets assembled in China. So most of your Samsung, Japanese or Korean company, South Korean company. So Nokia is a Japanese company. So though they are manufactured, and their ownership alidro, they get manufactured in China. So India says rather than assembling in China, come and assemble in India. Right? So all these things, it focuses on MSME sector. It focuses on MSME sector because more than 70%, not more than, even more than 90% of Indian employment. Industrially 100 jana idre, more than 90% are employed in MSME sector. MSME sector. Okay. So this is with respect to new industrial policy 1991. Okay. Next, we will talk about the metrics. How industrial evolution is measured. How is it measured? So we have Index of Industrial Production, IIP. IIP. Index of Industrial Production. Who gives this? It is given by CSO. Central Statistic Office. I discussed the other day. Yavag kodtare? Every month. What are the industry status? What is the industry status? Every month they are going to give. Right? Next. Every time or in a regularly these indices are revised. Certain industry will close down, new industry, artificial intelligence, data processing, all these industries are new. Even for that matter, 21st century, this IT industry is new. So this will, what does it do? It will revise the norms. New industry gets added. New industry gets added. Old closed down industry would be removed. Right? And also, it tracks various sources. Andre, various ministries, departments. Yakandre industry andre ಒಂದೇ ಕಡೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲ. So corporate sector there is industry. Industry ministry ಕೆಳಗೆ there is so many industry. Coal ministry there is industry. Petroleum ministry there is industry. So all the industries data are tracked. They are tracked. Right? So the sources na tagondi it publishes. So also there is a annual survey of industries. Annual survey of industries. This annual survey of industry is also given by CSO. CSO, but it is published every year. Every year, but there is a time lag as well. Every year publish ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, but after 2021 data na they publish after 2 years. So this is the difference between IIP and ASI. IIP monthly, ASI yearly. So that gets published frequently. ASI gets published after 2 years. Right? Okay. So 8 core industry, index of 8 core industries. What are the 8 core industries? So there are 8 core industries in India. Very, very, very important. Core industries yaudappa into andre coal, cement, crude oil, yes, electricity, fertilizer, then we have petroleum refinery products, right? Steel, iron and steel, So along with that, natural gas. So these are the 8 core industries in India. 8 core industries in India. Did I write it correctly? Yes, I have written it correctly. Refinery products. 8 industries, right? Okay. So next, PMI industry. So purchasing manufacture index anta. It is also an index, purchasing manufacturing index. So it majorly private sector companies na track ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. This is all about. Okay. Next, we'll talk about a $5 trillion economy. So why 5 trillion? Who gave this concept? Prime Minister of India gave this concept of growing the industry up to $5 trillion by 2025. ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ 5 trillion ಅಂದ್ರೆ? So $5 trillion. So 1 billion is 7,500 crores. 1 billion is 7,500 crores. So 10 billion is 75,000 crores. 100 billion is 7,50,000 crores, right? 1,000 billion is 75 lakh crores. 75 lakh crores into 5. ಎಷ್ಟಾಯಿತು? 1 crore ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 75 lakh into 5 is how much it is? 7.5 crore rupees. I am talking in rupees. So 7 lakh crores alla, crores. 7.5 crores. So this is what we have aimed at. $5 trillion economy by 2025. ಇದನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? Today Indian economy is ranked 7th largest in the world. 7th largest in the world. 7th largest. PPP ಅಲ್ಲಿ we are 3rd largest. Market exchange rate ಅಲ್ಲಿ we are 7th largest. Okay? And we are performing good in ease of doing business, logistic perform index, everywhere we are performing well. What is the strength of Indian economy? Strength. India has the highest number of youth population. India has the highest number of youth population in the world. So if you take under 35 age ಅಲ್ಲಿ we have so much population higher than all the world. Even under 25 allu nobody can beat us. And the average age of Indians is just 29 years. Average age of Indians ellarnu tagudre age is 29 years. So India is a young country. When there is young andre eno? Young means economic potential, ದುಡಿಮೆಯ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ, right? Okay. Next, huge market. 1.3 billion people, 130 ಕೋಟಿ ಜನ. It is a market, right? Too many products can be sold, right? And also digital. We are doing a digital revolution. Digital India mission is there, right? So 2025 ಒಳಗೆ we have to achieve this rate. So ಇದನ್ನ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ what are the conditions? So condition is GDP has to grow at 8%. GDP has to grow at 8% every year, but sadly due to COVID it is growing less. And also investment rate should be increased from 29% to 36%. Investment rate should be increased to 36%. Investment ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು. Macro $5 trillion and macroeconomic stability. First day itself I told you macro. What is macroeconomy? Overall India economy, if you take and measure the indicators, that is macroeconomy. Macroeconomic stability ಇರಬೇಕು. What macroeconomic stability? Fiscal consolidation. What is fiscal consolidation? ನಾನು ನಿನ್ನೆ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ is getting 97 rupees or 96 rupees. ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ 19 ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ. So fiscally we have to consolidate the money. Andre whatever the government spends, it has to get back. Clear? Okay. Fiscal consolidation should be there. Next, debt to GDP ratio. This concept is very, very important. Debt to GDP ratio. So I told you India's GDP in nominal terms is 190 lakh crore. 190 lakh crore. So from 190 lakh crore, Modi ji is aiming for 7.5 crore. So we are 2018 only, it was 190 lakh crore. So debt, namdu debt andre sala. See, debt should be less, debt to GDP. Sala, suppose namdu sala sikkabate ide, so it is around 70 or 80% or around 65% debt. Debt na andre sala matte GDP na tagidre, suppose our GDP, let us assume it is 100 rupees. Nam sala, it is, let us say 50 rupees. What is the ratio? 50%, right? 50%. So E ratio, now it is above 65. Andre debt sala jasti ide. It has to reduce below 40%. 40% ginta kelage debt to GDP ratio should be there, right? And also inflation should reduce. Inflation should reduce. It should be in the bracket of 2 to 6%. 4% idre olledu, right? Should be in the bracket of Monetary Policy Committee says that. And also there should be investment, both private investment should be there. Foreign investment should be there. Investment idre we can reach the $5 trillion economy. Next, there should be export. So what is the share of Indian export in the world exports? What is the share of India in the world exports? So it is around 2%. I'm going to confirm you the data now. What is the share of Indian exports in the world exports? So it is very less. That has to increase. Aita? Okay. Fine. Next, investment led growth for $5 trillion economy. Investment led growth. So when it comes to investment, crowding out effect anta ondirutte. Crowding out effect. What is crowding out effect andre? Government takes the money. Yes, the export rate is 1.71%. What is the China's export share in the world? China's export share in the world? ಅಂದ್ರೆ 100 ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಯಿಂದ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇವಲ 2 ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಿಂದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ವೆರಾಸ್ ಚೈನಾಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಶೇರ್ ಇಸ್ 15%. 15%. ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ 100 ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ 15 ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಚೈನಾ. ಅರ್ಧಕ್ಕೆ 90% ಒಂದ್ ತಿಂಗಳು ಕೆಟ್ಟೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಬೇರೆ ವಿಷಯ. ಚೈನಾ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ರೈಟ್? ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದ್ರೆ crowding out effect is important. What is crowding out effect? And if the government wants money, government will borrow from the market. Market in the government ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ. When the government takes the money from market, private sector will not have money. Private sector ಹತ್ರ money ಇರಲ್ಲ. Government gives more interest and takes the money. Private sector will not have money to invest. So ಅವಾಗ crowding out, money was crowded out. ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ತೆಗ್ದಿ ಇದ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ದೇರ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. More and more private investment should be there. So illi tax to GDP ratio. So I told you how many percent of Indians pay taxes? Only 1% of Indians, 100 ಜನದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ರು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ. That is our condition. So tax to GDP ratio should be 17%. It should be 17%. Right? Okay. ಸೊ OECD ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? ಬ್ರೆಜಿಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಯುರೋಪಿಯನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ನೌ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ 17%. ಬ್ರೆಜಿಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಯುರೋಪಿಯನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ 35%. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್. ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬಿಯಾನ್ಸಿ ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ದ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬಿಯಾನ್ಸಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆರ್ ಪೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್. ಆರ್ ವಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು gather more and more taxpayers? That is tax buoyancy. Tax buoyancy. BUOANCY. Tax buoyancy. Next, states illi states have to take more and more taxes. States tax na collect ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. So agriculture ge do we have taxes? No. But I would say rich farmers should be taxed. Plantation should be taxed here. Coffee, tea growers should be taxed. They are earning money. They are earning lot of money. I told you, out of 100 farmers, just 90% farmers are small and marginal farmers. Right? Hand to mouth living. Rest 10% are rich farmers. Sikkhabate dudirutte. Punjab, Haryana, all the farmer protest. Why did they do the farm protest? Because if farm laws are repealed, ಅವರು ಹೊಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ತಣ್ಣೀರ್ ಬಟ್ಟೆ. They had reaped lot of money from MSP. Minimum support price ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಬಟ್ಟೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಳ್ಳೆ ಹೊಡೆದಿರ್ತಾರೆ. I'll give you one more example. You see this movie, Shah Rukh Khan movies, no? Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, all those movies. So all these movies, the actor goes to foreign country. Right? To study. So adralli, and he comes back to a village in Punjab. Right? All these movies. So because of Green Revolution, these people make so much money that they will send their children to study in foreign. Rich farmers, they should be taxed. Right? They should be taxed. Taxation should increase. Savings should increase. I told you, because of savings only, India was able to negotiate out of 2008 financial crisis. So savings rate should be 40%. Nammal ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ savings. Especially wives, housewives do savings. In Jirge dabba, if you open all the dabbas, you will find money. Right? Savings is good in India. Next, 40% increase ಆಗಬೇಕು. Next, we have housing and infrastructure. We have PM Awas Yojana. PM Awas Yojana. So it has aimed to give 2 crore affordable houses. 2 crore. Infrastructure should be good. Rail, road, oil pipeline, inland roadway, inland waterway, digital connectivity, everything should be good. FDI should increase. Foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment should increase. And also disinvestment. Public sector, I told you, government should get out of the business, because business is not the business of government. Business is not the business of government. Government has some other business. Next, PPP should be encouraged. What is PPP? Public-private partnership. That should be encouraged. Next, we'll talk about individual sectors. Agriculture and $5 trillion economy. So, agriculture constitutes how much of the economy? I told you that day, 17% of Indian economy. So, ಏನೇನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? Agriculture should be modernized. Technology should be used in agriculture. Crop should be diversified. ಒಂದೇ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ನೆಲ ಕೆಟ್ಟಿ ಕುಲ್ಗೆಟ್ ಹೋದ್ರು ಸೇಮ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ they will put. Different crop should be put, right? Next, that is with respect agriculturally lot of reforms. Farmer producer organizations anta ide, idu amele food processing industries anta ide. In fact, farm laws should be brought up. They were actually good laws, they should be brought up. All these things should be done in agriculture. Next, manufacturally, what are the steps that should be taken? So manufacturally, we should increase the manufacturing sector contribution to 25% of GDP. Manufacturing ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. National Industrial Manufacturing Zones, sorry, National Investment and Manufacturing Zones na start ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Export oriented units, export process SEZ, Special Economic Zones, and export oriented units or export processing zones. ಏನಂದ್ರೆ SEZ, Special Economic Zone ಅಂತಿದ್ರೆ, this is like a ಇಂಡಿಯಾದೊಳಗಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ it is like a foreign territory. ತುಮಕೂರಲ್ಲಿ they have planned SEZ. So what happens, if you manufacture in SEZ, there will be no tax or very less tax. ಇದನ್ನ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಒಳಗೆ ಮಾರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ನ. If Indians have to buy this product, they have to pay import duty. It is just like importing from some other country. SEZ, similar export processing unit. National Investment and Manufacturing Zones. Mudra ಕೆಳಗೆ there has to be lot of loans. MSMEs have to be re-energized. So all these things, but there are so many challenges as well. Skill illa, there is skill deficit. Engineers, out of 10 graduates pass ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ, including BA, BCom, everybody, BA, BCom, engineering, everything, if 10 graduates pass, only 1 person is employable. 1 person ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋ ಅರ್ಹತೆ ಇದೆ, ಬೇರೆಯವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕಳಪೆ. So there is very less skill. Next, regulatory uncertainty. Government policies ಯಾವಾಗ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. Technology is not adopted, technology adoption ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. And data security is not there, Okay, next we will talk about service sector. See, if we have to reach this 5 trillion goal, majorly we should focus on services, because services is our strength. Services is India's strength. IT, ಏನಕ್ಕೆ RCEP India join ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Modi told we are not going to join because there they didn't allow services. Goods ಮಾತ್ರ export ಮಾಡಿ, services ನಮಗೆ disadvantage because our strength is services. I told you what is services. Okay, so this makes up to 55% of the economy. 55% of the economy GDP is from services. So what should be done andre, services ಅಲ್ಲಿ gross value addition, I have spoken about gross value addition, that should be increased. Next, champion sectors, service sector ಅಲ್ಲಿ champion sectors ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿ, tourism ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, hospitality, hotels, hospitality ಅಂದ್ರೆ hotels, not hospitals, even hospitals. Do you know about medical tourism? Medical tourism ಅಲ್ಲಿ, see, suppose you are in USA or UK, right? You want to get a surgery done. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೀ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್, ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ UK, I know an example because my sister stays there. Their National Health Service anta ide, NHS. Everything is free. Starting from smallest of the smallest to biggest of the biggest operation is free. Medicines are free. Everything is free. But ನಿಮಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಕಾಲ್ ಮುರಿದೋದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಆಗೋದು ಇನ್ನು 6 ತಿಂಗಳಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ. Too much delay, right? Too much delay. Because you have to take, if you want to meet a doctor, you have to take 1 month prior appointment NHS ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಎಮರ್ಜೆನ್ಸಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶುಯಲ್ OPD ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ದೀಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಡೂ, ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತಾ, ಸುಲಿದ್ ಬಿಡ್ತಾರ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಟೂ ಮಚ್ ಮನಿ, ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಬಟ್ಟೆ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ಡೂ, ದೀಸ್ ಯುರೋಪಿಯನ್ ಅಂಡ್ USA people, they come to India. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ suppose one cancer drug, certain cancer drugs are more than lakh rupees. One sheet of a drug is more than 1 lakh. ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ 1500 ರೂಪಾಯಿಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತದೆ, 1500 ಸೇಮ್ ಡ್ರಗ್. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಗೈಸ್ ದೇ ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಯುರೋಪ್ ಅಂಡ್ USA ಅಂಡ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಟ್ರೀಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂತಾರೆ, ರೇಟು ಕಡಿಮೆ, $1 is 75 rupees. So illi for example, last year I underwent a surgery, ACL surgery. It costed me 2.5 lakhs in one of the best hospitals in Bangalore. 2.5 lakhs. Suppose I got it done in Singapore or USA, it would have costed me nothing less than 30 lakhs. So what these people do, see, 2.5 lakhs in dollars is to. So 75,000, 1,50,000, sorry, $2,000, 1,50,000, approximately $3,000. $3,000 ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ. Your iPhone is $1,000 ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ವೆರಿ ಚೀಪ್. ಸೊ $3,000 ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಬಂದು ಸರ್ಜರಿ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. There they have to spend how much? Almost 7,500 alva, 7,500 into 15, almost $30,000. Where is 3,000? So almost 10 times appa. Illi 3 lakh andre, let us say 3 lakh, it is 30 lakh. So they give aram se, they come to India, get the surgery done, go to some Ayurveda resort, rejuvenate. There also all foreigners. So every treatment, nice treatment, they fly back. This is medical tourism, right? So that can be focused upon. Next, film industry can be focused upon. That is our entertainment industry. All these industries can be focused upon. Next, exports and $5 trillion economy. Exports. Exports only where we can focus upon logistics sector. Logistic andre eno? So you have your Flipkart and Amazon, right? You place an order on Flipkart. Flipkart the e-cart anta company ide gotta? That is the logistic. Flipkart gives the product to e-cart. E-cart will deliver it to you. Zomato is a logistic company. Logistic andre movement of goods. Goods one kade irutte, adina customers ಗೆ ತಲುಪಿಸೋದು. That is logistic. So we can focus on logistics. Power tariff can be, power can be exported, electricity can be exported, and also we can export na ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ we can have dedicated freight corridors. What is dedicated freight corridors? DFC. So we have Western DFC and Eastern DFC. Western DFC is already getting operated. So from JNPT, from where it starts, maybe in Mumbai, somewhere near Mumbai it starts and goes up to Haryana. What is dedicated freight corridor andre? Railway. Iva onde hali ide. Ide hali mele on this track both passenger train and goods train travel. Dedicated freight corridor andre bari goods ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೇನೆ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Passenger train will not travel on that. ಈ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಏನ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಾಲಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅಗಲ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ, ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಯಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೋರ್, ಟನ್ನೇಜ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೋರ್. ಪ್ಯಾಸೆಂಜರ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಟನ್ನೇಜ್ ಬೇಕಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಐರನ್ ಅದು ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಮೋರ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಹೆಲ್ಡ್. So all these things can be done for export. And also we have many things. 12 champion sector, service sectors are there. 12 champion service sector, right? So those things can be used for exports, right? So there are many things. Amele corridors, so BIMSTEC, BBIN, there we can export. Next, Industry 4.0 and $5 trillion economy. This is 4.0, not 5.0. 4.0 and economy andre. What is Industry 4.0? First we should understand what is Industry 1.0. Industry 1.0 andre, earlier what used to happen, there were handicrafts. I'm talking about 17th, 16th century. Handicrafts, gudi kaigarike, madke madadu, bombe madadu, all these things. So later on, money, butti eniyadu, all this. Later on, during first industrialization, so that used to be done in their homes. Or individual home al madkonta idru. Later on, one factory setup anta aitu. Factory setup during first industrialization. Second industrialization, electricity. They use electricity. What factory lene machines bartave, those machines will be run on electricity. Second industrialization, right? Third industrialization is your digital IT industry. IT industry, all the service sector industry, third industrialization. Fourth industrialization is artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning. This is fourth industrialization. Sarina? Okay. That can also contribute to the $5 trillion economy. Next, Atmanirbhar Bharat and $5 trillion economy. Self-reliance economy. So, Atmanirbhar Bharat ali, be vocal for local. So, andre, Indians want iPhone. But Modi ji says, buy those phones which are manufactured in India. Right? And buy those products which are manufactured in India. Be vocal for local. When we buy our own products, when we manufacture in our own country, then we can be reaching the $5 trillion goal. Right? So this is all about the $5 trillion economy. Next chapter. So this is a current affairs oriented. So next chapter, fiscal policy. Very, very important. Fiscal policy. Fiscal andre no. Fiscal means 1 year. Fiscal year means 1 year. What is a fiscal year in a government parlance? It is from April 1st to March 31st constitutes one fiscal year. Whereas calendar year starts from January 1st to December 31st. Calendar year, fiscal years are different. Okay. Fiscal policy. What is a fiscal policy? The definition goes like this. Fiscal policy is that part of government policy which is concerned with raising revenue. ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಪಾಲಿಸಿಯಿಂದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಣವನ್ನ ಎತ್ತುತ್ತೆ, raising revenue. That is fiscal, with raising revenue through taxation or other means. Through taxation or other means, and also decides upon government spending. Government spending. So basically, fiscal policy speaks about government expenditure and government raising the revenue. How does the government raise the revenue? How does it spend? This is all about fiscal policy. Simple. Okay. So how does the fiscal receipts increase? How does the money is raised? One is taxation. Next, disinvestment. Disinvestment and also power taxation. Idu power charges, electricity ella ನೀವು pay ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. That thing. right? Okay, so this is how the money is raised. So illi there is what is earned or revenue. So revenue bere, receipts bere. Revenue. Government gives some service and earns money, that is revenue. It gives transport. KSRTC bus odsi dudduna tagondre, that is revenue. Whereas government gets the money without doing any work, that is receipt, tax. That is the difference between receipt and revenue. Okay, so fiscal policy, it also quantity, duddu amount ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಹೇಗೆ ಮನಿನ ಎತ್ತುತ್ತೀವಿ, quality is also very very important. So fiscal policy ಇಂದ we can achieve certain goals. What are the goals of fiscal policy? Growth, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪಾವರ್ಟಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, education ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬಹುದು, gender empowerment can be done. So we can do so many things. Agriculture we can improve, industry we can improve, transport we can improve, service sector we can improve, export we can improve, we can do development. All these things can be done by fiscal policy. Fiscal policy. Next, the important concept of revenue account and revenue expenditure, very very important. So government account anta idre fiscal account is 1 year government account. So idralli there are two types of accounts. One is revenue account, another is capital account. Revenue account and capital account. Now I am going to talk about revenue account. Please understand the concepts very carefully. Here onwards it is only concept. Very important direct question in your prelims. So revenue account, it has receipts and expenditure. Okay, receipts. So revenue receipts have taxes and non-tax sources. Revenue, taxes and non-taxes sources act as revenue receipts. Okay, there are two types of taxes, direct tax and indirect tax. What is direct tax? You pay income tax. Whom do you pay? You pay it to government directly. So it is a direct tax. Whereas you buy a Parle-G biscuit, on that also you pay tax. But do you pay directly to the government? To the shopkeeper you pay. Shopkeeper pays it to the manufacturer. Manufacturer on your behalf, he will pay the taxes, excise duty or indirect tax. Excise duty is different, indirect tax. So indirect taxes. So this is with respect to direct and indirect. Income tax is a direct tax. Direct tax. So non-tax revenue. So taxes ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾವ್ದು ರೀತಿ ಇದೆ? Income tax ಇದೆ, corporation tax ಇದೆ. What is corporation tax? Not your BBMP corporation. Corporation tax means corporate companies. Infosys, Wipro, ಏನೇನ್ tax ಹಾಕುತ್ತೆ government, that is corporation tax, right? That is there. So these are the income tax and corporation tax are direct. Indirect tax ಯಾವುದು? GST. GST is your indirect tax. Customs duty. You import a product. On that government levies custom duty. That is a indirect tax. Okay. Non-tax resources ಯಾವುದು? I told about tax resources. Non-tax resources. What are the non-tax resources? Profits. Profits from where? Government. For example, ISRO. ISRO now it has opened up for private industry. So ISRO, what does it do? Private industry can launch its satellite on ISRO satellites, I mean rockets. They will quote some 100 crore rupees or some 1 crore rupees per satellite. Around profit iruttalla, that will go to government. BSNL lane profit, BSNL is a loss making company, but there is some profit. Air India lane profit barutte. All these things are non-tax resource. Interest receipt, loan kodtaralla, either to the state or to the countries outside. India ಯಾರ್ಯಾರಿಗೆ loan ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ interest ತಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, that is non-tax. Next, dividends. Dividends ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? What do you mean by dividends? Public sector enterprises, say BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electronics Limited. ನಿಮ್ EVM ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, EVM, it is manufactured by BHEL. Electronic voting machine ಒತ್ತುತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಹೋಗಿ ಬಟನ್, manufactured by BHEL. Okay, BHEL or BEL, I am confused. Okay, let it be. So this BHEL, I think it is BEL. BHEL doesn't manufacture it. Okay, let it be. So BHEL, suppose say it is a, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ 3 ತರ ಕಂಪನಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಮಿನಿ ರತ್ನ, ನವರತ್ನ, ಮಹಾರತ್ನ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತದೆ. It is a ಮಹಾರತ್ನ ಕಂಪನಿ. BHEL is a ಮಹಾರತ್ನ ಕಂಪನಿ. ಸೊ ಇವರು ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಬಟ್ಟೆ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Their profit is more than 5,000 crore per year. But even then, government wants to sell them to private industry. They are making good profits. Why should we sell it? That is why there is lot of opposition. Okay, let it be. 5,000 crore profit ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ government ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಹಣ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? Because government has invested there. How much money goes to the government? That is dividend. Dividend. RBI makes profit. RBI makes profit. How? Repo rate, reverse repo rate ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ. See, repo rate ಅಂದ್ರೆ RBI ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸಿಗೆ, RBI ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್, ICICI, HDFC, SBI, ಕೆನರಾ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಗೆ ಏನು ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾವ ರೇಟಿಗೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೆಪೋ ರೇಟ್. 4.25 somewhere. I am just taking a brief example. ಈ ರೇಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ 4.25%. 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ 4.25 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸಿಗೆ. ಇವ್ರು ನಮಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್. 8-9% ಹೌಸಿಂಗ್ ಲೋನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಬಲ್. ಸೊ RBI ಮತ್ತೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ ಕೂಡ. RBI ವಿಲ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಬಾರೋ. ಅವಾಗ RBI ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಬಡ್ಡಿ? ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ರೇಟು, ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ 25 ಪೈಸಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. 4%, ಜಸ್ಟ್ 25 ಪೈಸಾ, 25 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನು. ಸೊ ಈ 25 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಲಾಭ ತಾನೆ RBIಗೆ. ತಾನು ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ರೇಟು, ತಾನು ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ರೇಟು. ಸೊ 25 ಪೈಸಾ ಇಸ್ ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಇದರಿಂದ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ RBI. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ 4 rupees, 4 point. But think of entire India, all the banks, lakhs of crores. Lakhs of crores get 25 paisa and to thousands of crores. RBI makes profit. That is given to government as dividend. Clear? That is given to government as dividend. So, revenue, this is about where does the government gets the money from. Next, where does the government spends the money? Andre, interest payment. ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸಾಲ ತಗೊಂಡಿದೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಡಿಫೆನ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡೀಸ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸರ್ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ, ಹೊಲ ಗದ್ದೆಯಲ್ಲಿರೋರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸರ್ಗೆ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ, ಸೀಡಿಗೆ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಇದೆ, ವಾಟರ್ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಇದೆ, ವಾಟರ್ ಪಂಪಿಗೆ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಇದೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ. ದಟ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್, spending on the salary of IAS, IPS, all these officers. Next, financial grants to states. States ge under Article 275 grants kodutte central government, grants in aid. So there is where they spend the money. So Okay. So here revenue account expenditure idiyalla, it is largely considered a maintenance expenditure. Maintenance expenditure. What is difference from capital expenditure and maintenance expenditure andre, see, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ if they build a house, sorry, if they build a school, building of school requires money, that is capital expenditure. Capital. School build ಮಾಡಿ ಖಾಲಿ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? ನೋ. ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು, ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್, ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು, ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಬೇಕು, ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ ಟು ರನ್ ದ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಇಯರ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ಓಕೆ. So maintenance, maintaining the school is called revenue expenditure. Starting a school or building a school is capital expenditure. Know this much, more than sufficient. Capital account. Now we spoke about revenue account. Now we will speak about the capital account. The second part of the fiscal account is capital account. What is capital account? So recoveries of loans. ಲೋನ್ ಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ರೆಸಿಪ್ಟ್. ಆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ, ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್, ಅಸ್ಲು ಇಫ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಸಿಪ್ಟ್. ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಸಿಪ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಕವರೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೋನ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್, ನಾಟ್ ದ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ರಿಸಿಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಸೇಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಲೈಕ್ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಇದು ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಡಿಸ್ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ರಮ್ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, 2G 3G 4G 5G ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ರಮ್ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಸಿಪ್ಟ್. ಮಿನರಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೋಲ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಸಿಪ್ಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಬಾರೋಯಿಂಗ್. ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಸಾಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ within the country or outside the country, that is also a capital receipt, right? So capital expenditure yavadu? I spoke about capital receipt. Capital expenditure andre, we have loan na tagolodu capital receipt, loan na kododu capital expenditure. One. Next, expenditure on creation of infrastructure. What you told, infrastructure creation, bridges, ports, railway stations, airports, ಆಮೇಲೆ APMC mandis, all things, road infrastructure, ಮುಂದೆ ಆಗದು ಪೈಪ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, all these things they come under capital expenditure. Next, loans repaid. ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಯಾರಿಗಾರು ಲೋನ್ ನ ವಾಪಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ದ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಫಿಸಿಟ್ಸ್. ಡಿಫಿಸಿಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಪಕ್ಕಾ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಡಿಫಿಸಿಟ್. ಡಿಫಿಸಿಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಫಿಸಿಟ್. ಯು ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ 100 rupees, you get 95 rupees, there is a 5 rupee deficit. 5 rupee deficit. That is the concept of deficit. Clear? Okay. Revenue deficit andre revenue receipt ಮತ್ತೆ revenue expenditure. I told you revenue expenditure ಯಾವ್ದು, revenue receipt ಯಾವ್ದು. ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ 100 ಕೋಟಿ ಹಾಕಿ 95 ಕೋಟಿ ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ರೆಸಿಪ್ಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ 5 crore there is a deficit. That is revenue deficit, right? It is difference between revenue expenditure and revenue receipt. Okay. Okay. So revenue expenditure is called maintenance. Maintenance like ಏನೇನ್ maintenance? Education maintenance. I told you, school, health, hospitals ನೆಲ್ಲ ರನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. So that agricultural maintenance, social security, pension, vidwa yojana, old age person pension, all those things. So everything is revenue deficit. So illi there is one more concept of effective revenue deficit. Revenue deficit is a effective revenue deficit. Revenue expenditure alli, if we create some asset, revenue expenditure alli, if we create some capital asset, asset need not be capital, yes, capital asset. Revenue amount indane, if we build some school or build some hospital, revenue deficit alli, one second, this is equal to revenue deficit. This revenue deficit minus capital asset na enadru, if we build, then it will relate to effective revenue deficit. Because capital asset na create madadu, it is good. But bari effective revenue deficit is bad because it is maintenance. Sorry. It is maintenance. So this was introduced in 2012. Effective revenue deficit na concept na, it was introduced in 2012. Okay. So next we will have fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit, very, very important. All the day, newspaper, every day, you have this concept of fiscal deficit. So what is fiscal deficit? Andre, how much government spends? Government, I'm talking about government, not the revenue, total revenue. How much government spends and how much government earns? Eshtu government spend madutte, eshtu earn madutte, adru madhya ಏನು difference ಇದೆ? That is fiscal deficit in 1 year, right? Fiscal deficit. So idrದು formula ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, the difference between what is received by the government, what it receives on revenue account, revenue receipt ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ದುಡ್ಡು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Hope you understand what is revenue receipt. I have already discussed. Revenue receipt and all non-debt creating capital receipt plus non-debt creating capital receipt. Andre, capital receipt I told, if the government borrows a loan, that is a capital receipt. But adu, it will create debt, ಸಾಲ. ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ದುಡ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಲ ಆಗದೆ ಇರೋ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬಂದ್ರೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ 2G ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ರಮ್ ನ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, there is no ಸಾಲ, no debt. That is non-debt creating capital receipt. So these two concepts plus, so idu receipt minus expenditure. So expenditure will always be more. Expenditure, so government ಎಷ್ಟು spend ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ minus revenue receipt plus non-debt creating capital receipt will give rise to fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit. This is the formula. This is the formula. Direct question they are going to ask you, right? Okay. So difference, there is a concept called gross fiscal deficit and net fiscal deficit. So what is gross fiscal deficit andre, so whatever the government borrows, so this, what does this give? See, expenditure, let us say is 1000 crores. ಎಷ್ಟು 1000 crores. ಇದೆರಡು ಸೇರಿ we will get some 900 crores. So ಮಿಕ್ಕಿರೋದೆಷ್ಟು? 100 crore is the deficit. 100 crore is the deficit. How does the government fill this 100 crores? It will borrow the money from internal or external, private or public. It will borrow. So fiscal deficit shows the borrowing, how much the government borrows. Adanna, okay. So gross fiscal deficit andre, what the government has borrowed, that is gross. Net anta helidre, loans to states. So gross fiscal deficit alli, if you remove the loans to states and central public sector enterprises. Gross fiscal deficit ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ಲೋನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ BHEL ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ನೆಟ್ ಫಿಸ್ಕಲ್ ಡೆಫಿಸಿಟ್. Not very important, but the concept of fiscal deficit is important. Okay. Next, we have the concept of budget deficit. Budget deficit. Please go home and reread all these concepts or rewatch the video. So, what the government spends, budget alli ಎಷ್ಟು spend ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, what we spend through budget, and what the money and the receipt, consolidated fund of India dalle all the receipts will go and sit. So idrindane we will spend in the budget. What we spend in the budget and what we get back, what the government gets, right? So that will be the budget deficit. Budget deficit speaks about what the budgeted expenditure, budget alli en expenditure ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, that is budget deficit. So budget alli en expenditure ಮತ್ತೆ en receipt en ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ, that is budget deficit. So this deficit idರಲ್ಲಿ there will be shortage, again all the deficits are shortage. This deficit is not by borrowing in the fill ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, it is filled by RBI printing the fresh currency. Fresh currency na print ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, but that was also stopped. Next we have monetized deficit. What is monetized deficit? So see, I told you, wherever the deficit is there, government has to borrow. Instead of borrowing, if the government asks the RBI to print new money and fill the deficit, 100 ಕೋಟಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಬಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ 100 ಕೋಟಿ ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. So that is monetized deficit. Deficit is there, we are going to monetize it. Monetize. Clear? That is monetized deficit. Next comes important concept of primary deficit. Primary deficit. So simple primary deficit andre fiscal deficit minus interest payment. Fiscal deficit alli actually interest payment include ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ fiscal deficit, see expenditure alli interest payment will be included, whatever the loans we borrow, interest payment adralli if we remove the interest payment we will get primary deficit. So this will show the fiscal performance, this will show the fiscal performance of the government. So ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, is interest payment good or bad? Interest payment is bad, because if we are paying more and more interest, it shows we have lot of debt. ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಬಟ್ಟೆ ಸಾಲ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. ನಾವು ಇರೋ ಬರೋ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಆನ್ ಪೂರ್? Interest payment is bad. Clear? So interest payment should be as minimal as possible, right? So primary deficit will show. So primary deficit is fiscal deficit minus interest payment. So if interest payment is high, this number will be low. Alva. Fiscal deficit minus interest payment. Interest payment ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ primary deficit will be low. If this is interest payment is less, then primary deficit is high. Clear? So this is the difference. ಇಲ್ಲಿ primary surplus, primary deficit ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, that is the concept. So ಏನಾದ್ರೂ interest payment ಇಲ್ಲ, or in turn we are getting the interest, we are not paying the interest, in turn we are getting the interest andre this will become plus. That is called primary surplus, not deficit, primary surplus. So next we will talk about the concept of deficit financing. Deficit ಇದೆ ಅಪ್ಪ, deficit is there, how do we finance it? ಅದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಾವು ಶಾರ್ಟೇಜ್ ನ ಫಿಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? There are various things. So one is Elinda tax, non-tax resources, and also borrowing from the market. Borrowing from the market, we are going to fill the deficit. So, but borrowing again, there is a limit. We cannot borrow too much. If we borrow and crowd out, borrowing too much market in the borrow madre, crowding out agogutte money alla. Crowding out agodre in private sector ge there is no money. So what does there is a one more option is printing money. That is also bad. That is also bad. So earlier what used to do, they used to do ಏನಂದ್ರೆ deficit financing. Earlier they used to print the money till 1997. Why this deficit financing is good? They say, see, actually deficit is bad. Actually speaking, ನಿಮಗೆ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ನಿಮಗೆ 95 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ವಾಪಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗುತ್ತೋ? ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಲ್ಲ. You'll obviously feel bad, right? So likewise, but when the government spends 100 rupees and gets 95 rupees, actually it is not bad, because it is spending on social sector. Free rations to the poor, free education, free health, alli yavade profit sigalla government ge. So it is good actually if the spending is done for social sector, samajika uddarakke. So why andre starting alli domestic 1950s alli there was no saving, so fiscal deficit was good because we used to spend money on all these things, and also printing of the money. Avaga ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, we did not have ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಬಾರೋ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. we used to print the money, and also that is external aid, ಹೊರಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ದುಡ್ಡು ತುಂಬಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. So all these things, because of which we used to focus on deficit financing, that is printing the money and filling the deficit. What is the limit of fiscal deficit? Limits of fiscal deficit, limitations. Okay. So fiscal deficit is it accumulates. ಈ ವರ್ಷ 3 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷದ 3 ರೂಪಾಯಿ, ಅದ್ರ ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷದ 3 ರೂಪಾಯಿ, deficit gets added on. It gets added on till end. Okay. So fiscal deficit is good for welfare, because 3 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಬಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ that 3 rupees will be spent on welfare, public welfare. I told you, social sector, right? So but it is bad when it reaches a threshold. 3 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹಂಗಂತ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕೇವಲ 90 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ it is bad. Where do we get the rest 10 rupees, right? So ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, there will be sovereign debt crisis. Sovereign debt crisis, I told you, when a country itself will become debt ridden, bankrupt. ನಾವೇ ದೇಶನೇ ಸಾಲಗಾರರಾಗಿ ಸಾಲ ವಾಪಸ್ ಕೊಡಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ that condition is called as sovereign debt crisis. Your good old example, PIGS economy, Portugal, Ireland, Greece, and Sweden. One more country, Switzerland or Sweden? Not Switzerland. Okay, let it be. Okay, mostly Slovenia or some other country. Okay, fine, let it be. So majorly Greece. Greece is the good example for sovereign debt crisis. Okay. So large deficit shows that economic growth ಏನು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. There is government ಸಾಲ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Large deficit is not good, right? So BOP pressure will mount, since if we borrow more to fill the deficit from outside. Balance of payment andre, I told you, current account, capital account. I'm going to discuss it again. Foreign in the borrowing jasti agutte, it will increase our balance of payment crisis. However, fiscal deficit is good in the times of COVID. Now we are running a fiscal deficit around 8%. COVID ali we have to do, because people don't have money. We have to spend more and government has to give more and more money. Fiscal deficit is good when there is an economic crisis. 2008 economic crisis, COVID crisis, fiscal deficit is good. Okay. Revenue deficit, target abolition. Target abolition, pros and cons. Okay. So earlier there used to be a revenue deficit I discussed. So earlier there used to be a target. Target, you know, the revenue deficit should be reduced to 0 and fiscal deficit should be reduced to 3%. 3% ಅಂದ್ರೆ 3 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಹಾಕರ್ 3 ರೂಪಾಯಿ deficit. Right? So they say revenue deficit 0 ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ earlier FRBM Act ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, that would have given in 2003, but 2008 they say that is not possible, so we are going to give up the concept itself. ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, we'll give the concept. Next we have twin deficit challenge. What is twin deficit? I have already discussed. So fiscal deficit plus current account deficit. Current account, see, just understand it like this. Fiscal deficit andre it is country's internal account. Country ಒಳಗಡೆ account. By borrowing, expenditure, all those things. Current account deficit andre external account. External account. Trade, export, import, all these things. Twin deficit andre current account deficit ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, fiscal deficit ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಎರಡು. So that is called twin deficit challenge because it will be mutually destructive. ಒಂದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. How it will, one will impact the other. So current account deficit. So current account ali, let's say, when does the deficit happen? When imports are more and exports are less. There is a current account deficit. Current account deficit. Fiscal deficit when expenditure is more and revenue is less. There is a fiscal deficit. So expenditure, export kadme idu import ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ import ge we have to give money, spend money. Where do we buy the dollars from? We have to take the dollars and spend money on importing. Right? Illu namig ದುಡ್ಡು ಬೇಕು, ಫಾರಿನ್ ದುಡ್ಡು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಫಿಸ್ಕಲ್ ಡೆಫಿಸಿಟ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ತುಂಬಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಡೆಫಿಸಿಟ್ ತುಂಬಿಸೋಕ್ಕೂ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಟ್ವಿನ್ ಡೆಫಿಸಿಟ್ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್. ಎರಡಕ್ಕೂ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ torn apart. Okay. So because of this ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಟ್ವಿನ್ ಡೆಫಿಸಿಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಆಲ್ ದ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ರನ್ ಅವೇ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ. ಫಾರಿನರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ ಅವೇ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ. Everything will go away from the country. Right? Okay. So that is what happened in the tiger economy crisis. I told you what are tiger economies, I told you, right? So tiger economies ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, it was dependent growth, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು growth ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, economic growth, it was dependent on foreign money. It was dependent on foreign money. So what happens, US ಅಲ್ಲಿ interest rate ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Interest rate, obviously interest rate ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? So they will take all the money to US. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ economy ಬಿದ್ದೋಗುತ್ತೆ. So that will happen. Twin deficit idre, that is going to happen. Next we will talk about the concept of fiscal stimulus. Fiscal stimulus. So what is fiscal stimulus? Recession 2008 ಅಲ್ಲಿ financial recession ಆಯ್ತು. I told you previous class, right? Recession, subprime lending crisis. So there was a fall in demand. When there is a recession, I told you how demand will fall, how production will fall, how employment will fall. I have told you. So there was no investment. There was no investment. Here comes the concept of Keynesian economics. When there is recession, we are going to spend money. Government will going to spend the money, that is Keynesian spending. Keynesian spending, or I told you already, it is called pump priming. Pump priming or stimulus. So fiscal deficit yavaga. So how does the fiscal stimulus is given? So when there is recession, fiscal stimulus na kodtivi. Stimulus andre economy bidogide. We will stimulate it. We will stimulate it. ಈಗ ಇದು ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಿದ್ದಿರೋರಿಗೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ವಾ, ಸೇಮ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ಲಿ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಫಿಸ್ಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲಸ್. ವೆನ್ ದ ಫಿಸ್ಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದು? ಹೈಯರ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್. Governments will spend lot of money, that is the first stimulus. Next, it will reduce the taxes. Alva? When tax is reduced, you will have more money. Instead of paying tax, it will be in your pocket. You will spend more money. When you spend more money, demand increases. Demand increases, production increases. Production increases, employment increases. Employment increases, again demand increases. Positive spiral. Clear? Okay. These things. Monetary stimulus yavdu. Fiscal stimulus, I told you yesterday, anything related to government is fiscal, anything related to RBI is called monetary stimulus. Monetary stimulus yavdu? Rate cuts. RBI ಮಾಡ್ತಲ್ಲ repo rate na 4% ಗೆ ತಂತು ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So rate cuts. At very cheap rate they are going to give money, that is one thing. SLR cuts. Statutory liquidity ratio. What is SLR andre? As for now you just understand, some money, bank has 100 rupees, some 20 rupees, they have to store it in RBI compulsorily. That is SLR anta tilkoli. I will tell you what it is later on. SLR na reduce ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. 20 rupees na 15%, 15 rupees ಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ 5 rupees extra ಸಿಕ್ತು, I mean ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗೆ, right? So that is one thing. CRR cuts, cash reserve ratio. So cash reserve ratio andre idu bank hatra 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಹತ್ರ, some 5 rupees they have to store in cash. Cash ಆಗಿ ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡಿರಬೇಕು. That is reduced. When that is reduced, what will happen? More cash will go to banks. So more spending. So this is the monetary measures of fiscal stimulus. Next, we will talk about FRBM Act, very important act. So Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. So this was initially to 1997 ಅಲ್ಲಿ they envisaged this, but 2003 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003. What is this act all about andre? So it says, it statutorily it says that, andre by law it says that government cannot borrow beyond a certain limit. Iste borrow ಮಾಡಬೇಕು government. Point number 1. So borrowing for consumption should be zero. That is, revenue deficit should be zero ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ maintenance ಗೆ we cannot spend zero. Only borrowing for asset creation is allowed. ಅಂದ್ರೆ capital assets. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಟ್ಟೋದು, ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ನ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ, ನೋ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಕಟ್ಟೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್, ದಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್. ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಲೋಡ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಡೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್, ಸಾಲ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. ದೆನ್ RBI should not be the primary lender. ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಲೆಂಡರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ RBI should not give the money. RBI should not print the money ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, right? So they give certain targets. So 2018 ಅಲ್ಲಿ they change it, amend the act. What happens in 2018? Fiscal deficit 3%, revenue deficit no target has been given. Next, debt sala bandi, debt to GDP ratio should be reduced to 60%. Andre Central government debt to GDP. Central government sala GDP li 40% matra irbeku illa adrikinta kadame irbeku anta they are going to say. Right? This was given by NK Singh Fiscal FRBM Review Committee 2017 ಅಲ್ಲಿ NK Singh FRBM Review Committee ಅಂತ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. That is going to give this. NK Singh. Who is this NK Singh? 15th Finance Commission Chairman. 15th Finance Commission Chairman NK Singh. Okay. He says targets 3% to 0% ಇದು targets ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, these targets can be breached. ಇವು they are not sanctity ಅಂದ್ರೆ they are not like God sanctioned, they can be breached. ಯಾವಾಗ breach ಮಾಡಬಹುದು? National security, calamity, COVID times we can breach it ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. And next structural reforms we have to do. Structural reforms ಅಂದ್ರೆ one example I am going to give. Private sector ಅಲ್ಲಿ how many % of Indians account private sector ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು accounts ಇದೆ? Bank accounts. Public sector ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ does the public sector has more bank accounts or private sector? Public. 75% of the bank accounts are with public. But ಸಾಲಗಳನ್ನ ಲೋನ್ ನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋದು ಯಾರು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ? ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ. ಆಲ್ ಯುವರ್ ವಿಜಯ್ ಮಲ್ಯ, ಮೆಹುಲ್ ಚೋಕ್ಸ್ಕಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ನ ಗುಂಡಾಂತರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ನ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಕರಪ್ಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. we should make a structural change. Structural agi we have to change it anta heltare NK Singh, right? So these are the recommendations given by the NK Singh committee. Okay, so FRBM Act is based on Article 292 of Constitution. 292 of Constitution gives the FRBM Act 550 550 ಸರಿ 550 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಇರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. Okay, so FRBM Act is based on Article 292 of Indian Constitution. So here FRBM Act ali there are two things. One, medium term fiscal policy statement. ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಫಿಸ್ಕಲ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದಿದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಫಿಸ್ಕಲ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. 3 ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ದೀಸ್ 3 ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ these government has to place in the parliament. What is this? Medium term fiscal policy statement. Medium term ಮಧ್ಯಂತರ ಸಮಯ ಫಿಸ್ಕಲ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ. ಫಿಸ್ಕಲ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮನಿ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡಬೇಕು. Next, fiscal policy na sari madlike strategy statement, that will also the government has to place. And also macroeconomic framework statement. Macroeconomy, inflation, export or import, all these things, macroeconomic framework statement we have to place. Okay, so these 3 statements. And also recently medium term fiscal policy statement. Medium term fiscal policy statement also we have to, the government has to place in the parliament. Okay, so idana quarterly, every 4 months or every 3 months, these 4 statements the government has to place in the parliament. Yen ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ with respect to fiscal this thing. Okay, so fiscal FRBM Act the positive ಏನಂದ್ರೆ it brought discipline. It brought discipline in the financial sector. Financial sector ಅಲ್ಲಿ it brought a discipline, right? Okay, next we will talk about fiscal consolidation. I told you what is fiscal consolidation. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇರೋದು. ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಾಟ್ ವೇಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮನಿ. ಓಕೆ, fine. What is fiscal consolidation? See, fiscal consolidation simply means strengthening government finances. Is government finance good today? No. ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಬಟ್ಟೆ ಸಾಲ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫೈನಾನ್ಸಸ್ ನ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂಥನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ as fiscal consolidation. So fiscal consolidation ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ what are the benefits? It provides stability in the economy. Wasteful expenditure ಆಗಲ್ಲ. There is no wasteful expenditure. Then it will enable the government to spend more on infrastructure and social sectors. Social sector ಮೇಲೆ we can spend. Okay. So how does the fiscal consolidation takes place? One, GST, corporate tax, all these things. GST, corporate tax, ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ fiscal consolidation ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. Next, disinvestment, privatization ಮಾಡಿ. Privatization, if you do privatization, government will get more money. It will increase the government finances. That is the way being done. Expenditure side ಅಲ್ಲಿ subsidies ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. If we reduce the subsidies, then and also direct benefit transfer. Earlier 100 rupees, 100 rupees the government gives, only 15 rupees used to reach the citizen. ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ತಿಂದಾಕ್ಬಿಡೋರು. Direct benefit transfer, all the 100 rupees goes to the. So expenditure reforms ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ government finances will improve. Okay. So FRBM ಮೇಲೆ there is a NK review committee. We'll do these things and finish the class today. So NK Singh review committee on FRBM. This was given in 2017 ಅಲ್ಲಿ they submit a report. What does this speak about? It speaks about creation of new fiscal council. So fiscal deficit na control ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು fiscal council ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. GST council ಇದೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? There is GST council which fixes the GST rates. Likewise, there should be a fiscal council. Fiscal council ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. Right? And also debt to GDP ratio should be reduced. 40% debt to GDP ratio should be reduced. And also fiscal deficit should be 3% anta helutte. It says fiscal deficit should be 3%. And also it says sudden agi we cannot do it. We have to do it in a slide path andre jara bande tara. We have to reduce it slowly. We have to reduce it. Right? Illi 5% idre fiscal deficit, illi 3%. Slowly, not like this. This is sudden drop, but this is slide drop. Maps are important, right? Okay. Calamities iddaga, war antadenadru adre we can increase the fiscal deficit, right? Next, and also ene adruno the government should take the opinion of this council, fiscal council the opinion ತಗೊಂಡು spending ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Last concept of the day, crowding out. So what is crowding out? I told you already, right? If the government takes all the money in the market, government borrows, suppose Indian market ಅಲ್ಲಿ private public ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿ, let's say there is 1000 rupees. Government borrows of 600 rupees. Rest ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಬಾರೋ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ? If we have to take ಸಾಲ ತಗೋಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ we will be left with 400 rupees because government has already crowded out. 600 ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, 400 rupees is left. But if the government doesn't crowd out, all the 1000 per rupees is available for us, which is good. All the 1000 rupees available idre we will start some new industry, something we will do. Okay. So crowding in So rather than crowding out, crowding in ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Rather than government taking the money out of the system, government has to put money into the system. How the money can be put into the system? Increasing jobs, increasing tax collection by growth, and also good projects ಯಾವ್ದು Bharat Mala, road construction project, Bharat Mala, all these things. By this we can crowd in the money. Okay, we will end the class today, and tomorrow we will take up with the off budget financing. So please make good use of the classes. Please make good use of the classes. If you have any doubts, please message us on our Telegram channel. You can also type it in the comment box. Okay, so please make good use of the classes. Take care of your health. Have a good day. Thank you. Namaste.